I'm really... I had somebody call me at home last night. What we're at about. Somebody called from the family and said, "Is it safe to fly tomorrow?" And I'm like, "What? Why? What are you hearing? Government shutting down. Planes going to fall out of the sky?" No, they're not going to fall out of the sky. Well, let me just say that. Today, I'm not sure I would try to be someplace that's not under the sky. Let's just say that, just to be safe. Be someplace not under the sky, because the planes are going to be falling. And when I say the planes are going to fall out of the sky, I mean more than Boeing planes are going to be falling out of the sky today, because it's going to be chaos, complete chaos. The government is just, and by the way, you should start taking Mandarin, because the Chinese are going to invade, because the army is on furlough now because of these damn Republicans. Oh, wait. No, hang on. Just a second. It's the Democrats. The Democrats who are being so unbelievably irresponsible. You know what they always say when the Republicans do this? They're so irresponsible. And you're like, wait a minute. No. This time they're being very, very irresponsible. The Democrats are, because the Republicans just would not allow health care to be extended to all illegal aliens. I actually heard somebody on CNN yesterday say all people have a right to health care. No, you mean American citizens? No, all people. So illegals, all people of Earth should be able to have universal health care. Oh, okay. Well, why don't we just start writing that check for the Chinese too? You know, the poor Greeks, man, they really have. Cuba, they're having a hard time with their healthcare system. There are a lot of places collapsing. We should just write the check for everybody on Earth for their healthcare. How does that even make sense? Now, the Democrats are in a really precarious situation because they had to acquiesce to the extreme left because their base wants to fight. And I think literally fight. But at least in this particular case, it means you have to walk out on a deal. You cannot accept it unless you have universal health care. And so they said, no, Republicans, what a surprise. No, not going to do it. Actually, it is kind of a surprise. Wouldn't you say, Stu? It is kind of a surprise that they're not saying yes to even more spending.
Yes, and we can't rule it out quite yet, but it's the fact that they didn't immediately before the shutdown even just agree to whatever they wanted to spend is nice.
Correct. So I if I may make a prediction and see where I'm wrong on this, my prediction of how this thing is going to work is we're going to shut down because the Republicans didn't want to spend more money and the Democrats wanted to spend $1 trillion more. And so what will happen is we'll shut down, but we'll spend more money, and we'll end up paying for it. And then they'll just sign another continuing resolution, and nothing will be done.
That's a little pessimistic there, Glenn. I think you'd have a little more optimism here.
It only comes from 60 years of watching our government.
Yes, although I do think things are a little bit different right now, right?
Yeah,
I think the Republicans are in a place where they have more cards than the Democrats do. There's a good chance the Democrats wind up getting blamed for this by the American people, not the media, but by the American people. They don't like shutdowns, even though I'm honestly not that broken up about them.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. And then you have the other part of this, which is maybe the Russell Vought, Donald Trump.
Do you think that's real?
Well,
by the way, is that how you say his name? Because I've always thought it was Russ Vought.
I hear both ways, so I don't know. I'm just going to go back and forth to confuse people. But that's in case you don't know what we're talking about here, there's a Russ, he put together this plan over the 4 years where they were out of power to try to maximize opportunities like this. And he, there's this long profile just written in the New York Times about how scary and terrifying he is for those reasons. But
because he's smart and prepared.
When you hear Trump talk about, hey, we're just going to fire these people and not bring them back, that is... it's Trump's plan. It's Trump's idea with Russ's execution behind it. And so that's the thought here, is that maybe you can get some long-term gains out of this. One of my other favorite nuggets on this, Glenn, is the healthcare credits that they're looking for, that the Democrats say they want. Right? They're like, we got to have these. We can't have a 7-week, which was the proposal by Republicans, 7 weeks of just continuing the spending and figuring things out. So currently, those tax credits are in effect. They are available right now. Republicans want to end them. The interesting part is they don't run out in the 7-week period that Republicans are proposing to increase or to continue the spending. So they wouldn't go away if everybody's just signed on to the Republican plan, which, by the way, I mean, neither one of us particularly like. It's just increasing spending at these ridiculous levels for another 7 weeks. But these credits that they're so worried about, that they're going to kill all these people and the health care is going to go away, don't go away during that time period. They go away after that. And they're saying, well, people are going to get notified that they're going away in that period, and therefore we have to shut down the government so that people wouldn't get notifications that they might be going away. We have to stop it before that. That's their big plan.
You would think that the Democrats would want people to be notified that they're going away because it would help their case.
Right. Well, I mean, there's an argument to be made that maybe they do. But I think a lot of that is just they're making things up as they go along. Right.
That doesn't sound like the Democratic Party.
Like Chuck Schumer last time, when he was threatened with evil Russ and his evil plans, said, okay, we're going to fold and we're going to just keep the government going at the current levels. And this time he's saying the exact opposite. And he's saying, because last time his idea was, well, they're going to fire all these people. This time he's saying, well, they're firing all these people anyway. Like they just change, move the goalposts, change the arguments, and act as if this all makes sense.
And so here's what I would like to see Donald Trump do. Because I read this morning, and I don't know what rag it was, but they were saying, Donald Trump, he's bluffing. He's bluffing. No, I don't think he is. I hope he's not. Listen to Donald Trump yesterday on this Cut 1.
If DOGE is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously, I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. When I see what we're doing with AI and all the plants that are opening up in the country, $17 trillion is coming. And if you compare that to Biden had, in 4 years, less than $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion, more than that. I think it's going to be much more than that, David, by the end of this year. I think it's going to be far over that. It's a record. It's already a record in 8 months. It's a record by a lot. And so we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country.
So what I'm hearing him say here over and over again is, we're just going to shut these things down. We don't want them. And it's a permanent thing. You're going to have to go through reauthorization to get these non-essential programs back. And if they're not mandated, he's saying, Russ is planning to just cut them all. If it's not mandatory spending, cut it. I think that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I don't know why we haven't done that before. Now, it's going to go into the court system, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a fight, but that's one I'm willing to die on. That's a hill I want to take.
Yeah, and of course, you're right. Every single one of those jobs will have a lawsuit attached to it, and they will get some of them reversed. There's no question about it. But
right, that's why you should fire twice the amount of people.
You're right. If they're gonna reverse half of them, just fire twice as many.
Yeah.
And I think partially one of the reasons why the question from the reporter was, hey, if you're doing this with Doge already, how come? Well, part of it is a lot of the Doge stuff got blocked. Right, a lot of the Doge stuff got blocked by courts, and it's been a real problem. So this is a way they think they have a little bit more legal clearance on it. Glenn, can I give you one trip down memory lane here, though? This is a fun one, fun trip down memory lane. Let's go back to 2009. if we could. Barack Obama, he's doing the State of the Union address.
Oh my God.
And in the middle of this great man's address, as he's talking about the wonders of Obamacare, an evil Republican legislator screams out, "You lie," from the audience. It's a massive controversy. A terrible.
Because you don't do that.
You don't do that.
Call the president of the United States a liar.
Decorum,
you don't
sir.
Do it. Decorum. You can call him a Nazi, but you don't call him a liar. Okay.
So he says you lie. Why does he say you lie? He says, because Barack Obama is up there on the stage, and Barack Obama says, with Obamacare, we're not going to be giving any health care to illegal immigrants.
You lie.
You lie. That's the controversy. Mm-hmm. Everyone says, of course, every media report is, of course this isn't an Obamacare. It's a shy. How would he even claim such a thing? And then the next president, the next Democratic presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, puts it in the middle of her website for running for office. That's 2016. It's part of her platform that illegal immigrants will get care under Obamacare. Part of her platform. They go from you lie to part of the platform in just one presidential election. And then we should note now that it's so shocking that illegal immigrants wouldn't get health care out of Obamacare. We need to shut the government down over it. That is how your country works in 3 easy steps.
That is, by definition, progressivism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You move in the direction, but you say, no, it'll never be that. Then the next president, the next opportunity, you move a little further and you go like, well, that's it. And then the next president, the next opportunity, you're like, of course that's what it is. I mean, it's just right there.
And then you say, how dare you hurt these poor people by taking away that plan we said didn't exist?
Right.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
And nobody knows because people are just so stupid. They don't remember you lie. They have been ratcheted up into their hatred for the other side. And they always lie. They always lie. They always lie. They always lie. Like when he stood up and called President Obama a liar. Yeah, well, no, they weren't lying. They were telling the truth because they understand how progressivism works. But you refuse to see, this is my favorite question to ask people is, how did you get there? How did you get there? What do you mean? How did you get to where illegal aliens should, because you were against that 10 years ago. In fact, you said that's a lie. That'll never happen. Okay, so take me to that's a lie that will never happen, which you were passionate about because you understood we couldn't afford that. Tell me the logic that had been introduced to you over the last 10 years that made you move from that's a lie, that will never happen, how un-American of you to even say we would think that way, to how dare you even try to say we shouldn't be paying for that health care. Help me with the logic, because I want to understand. My guess is you've just been riding a wave of feelings and propaganda. So please tell me, how did you get from that place 10 years ago to this place today? Because there is no new information. There's none. In fact, the new information shows it's even more insane to do it today than it was 10 years ago. All right, back in just a second. Let me tell you about our sponsor this half hour. Who's our sponsor here, Sarah? Oh, it's Relief Factor. Let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor will help you with your pain if you have, really, you have pain and you're in it all the time and you feel like, you can't even just show up. You just can't show up. You're fighting a war on two fronts. You're fighting a battle for your country and the battle inside of your own body, and the pain steals the best version of you. Try Relief Factor, will you? Developed by doctors to reduce inflammation, causes most everyday pain. And if you take this daily, Relief Factor works to support your body from the inside out so you can move freely, you can think clearly, and you can focus on the things that matter. You deserve to wake up without dreading that first step. You deserve to feel like yourself again. Isn't Isn't it about time? I mean, we're not talking about running marathons. Well, I mean, life is running a marathon, and just standing up sometimes will feel like a marathon. Showing up, stay in the fight for as long as it takes. Relief Factor will help you do that. Try their 3-week quick start. Give it a try now for $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. 10 seconds, station ID. So I don't think it's a coincidence that we have TrumpRX starting today, and the shutdown is a big thing. It is a direct-to-consumer website expected to launch early next year at TrumpRX.gov. It is not socialized medicine, although it is kind of a public-private partnership, which I am not for in any way, shape, or form. But it is the government just negotiating discounts up to 85% off list prices for Pfizer medications. And it's a limited scope at this point, but it gives most favored nation status prices because we pay like 4 times as much as everybody else. And what is the problem with that? The rich can afford, when you look at the whole world, we're the rich ones. The rich don't even mind paying more. Yeah, coming back to haunt you now, isn't it? Anyway, Pfizer's offering discounts about 50% on primary care and specialty drugs. It's cash only. This is for the uninsured and uninsured buyers that cover, again, a narrow set of drugs. You know, some people are saying it's socialized medicine. It's not. It's voluntary and market-based. However, it could be the next time. The next time a president comes in, it's progress towards this step. But it doesn't involve government-run hospitals or doctor employment or universal coverage or anything like that.
It's
so
not
it
to
is
the
not
level
socialized medicine.
Yeah, it depends on what your definition is, right? I mean, of course it's not. We have not implemented the British system.
No.
No one's saying that. I will say, this is it's market based is what they say about carbon credits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think politically it's a very smart move.
Yes, I agree.
I think for a true free market, I don't like it. But we're not going to have a free market of medicine. I mean, we don't have one now.
No, we don't have one now. I would like to move toward it, though.
I would too.
And I feel like there's a lot of movement the opposite direction.
Yes.
And I will say too, the drug price thing is a tough one because there are certain drugs that are much more expensive here than in other places. Though there are also a lot of drugs that are less expensive here than in other places. Mm-hmm. Like our generic system actually outperforms a lot of what the rest of the world does. Right. So it's when you talk about the drugs people actually take as a society, when you look at the numbers are not that much different, but there are certain particularly brand name drugs that are much, much higher priced here. And I guess that's what he's trying to get under control here. And it's something he's been focusing on for a while. This is something that Trump has really tried to focus on for a while and seems to be making some progress into what his plan is there.
Yeah. So let me switch topics to the fat thing is still trending everywhere today, that Hegseth says that our generals shouldn't be fat. And I love this from the left. They're like, these generals, man, they were so strong. They sat there. They didn't clap for anything. Anything that is said, they didn't clap. Yet they're not supposed to. They're in uniform, you dope. You see the Supreme Court at the last State of the Union, they didn't clap for anything. Yeah. They're not supposed to. So that wasn't restraint. That was actually them doing their job. But The View just can't understand why we care about fitness and fatness in the military.
This is Glenn Beck.
It's too good to pass up. All right, let me tell you about our sponsor here. It's American Financing. Debt has a way of choking out possibilities for you and your family over time. It starts small, mortgage here, credit card there. Maybe a personal loan to bridge the gap. And before long, you're working harder than ever just to stay even. Let's not forget interest stacks on interest. Late fees start to creep in, and you start to wonder if this is just the way life is now. American Financing isn't just about refinancing a home. It's about reclaiming control. Their mortgage consultants don't work on commission, which means they're not there to sell you something. They're there to help you strategize. Maybe that means rolling your high-interest debt into a single lower fixed rate. Maybe it means paying off your home years faster without spending a dime more each month. Or maybe it's just about creating a little breathing room so you can sleep better at night. You don't have to stay stuck. There are options. American Financing knows them, and they're ready to put them to work for you. So please call American Financing at 800-906-2440, 800-906-2440. It's AmericanFinancing.net. That's AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 starts at 6.799% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 800-906-2440 for details about credit costs and terms.
Head over to glennbeck.com. Get subscribed to the email newsletter. It is free. Subscribe now at glennbeck.com.
You know, I don't like spending time talking about The View because they're so irrelevant, but this is just hysterical. So yesterday, Hegseth comes out and says, you know, fat generals, you need to lose weight. You need to get in shape. Everybody has to take the fitness test. If you're in our military, everybody has to take the fitness test at least once a year. Okay. Now, I have to play the response from The View. It is hysterical. I feel bad for their stupidity. And I mean that sincerely. They are so stupid, and yet they're on national television. Somebody should say, Simon Cowell should be sent in and go, guys, you're just too stupid to be on national television. It's not a good look. I don't know who said that you were smart, but somebody has to tell you the truth. So listen to their response to Pete Hegseth.
He said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat. I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
Maybe he's referring to Colonel Sanders.
It was really a bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Charles Brown Jr., who is African-American. Yeah. He fired the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. I don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of firing these people, having all these people meet together and then denigrating them.
Did you look at it? They're looking at him like he has two heads.
Well, they didn't applaud the beginning of that clip you just saw. The president is President Trump said, if you want to applaud, you applaud. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, and then you heard the rest. There goes your rank in your future.
It is such an they don't understand. They just don't understand the military. It's interesting that they were listing all of the people that Hegseth fired without giving any context on any of those people, and they just don't understand why 2/3 of our current active military members are considered overweight, and 22% of them are considered obese, and how that's a problem. And I love the fact that they're like, and how is that supposed to be an uplifting message? It's not supposed to be an uplifting message. Sometimes the truth is not so uplifting. Sometimes the truth sucks a lot, but it sets you free. Sometimes the truth has to be said. You're fat. And I'm sorry if you're out on the battlefield and you can't pick up the member of your team that has just been shot and wounded and carrying them back yourself, you're of no help. If you're like, hang on, I am so out of breath. Hang on, can we stop shooting for just a second? You gotta be in shape. Do you want a fat firefighter? No, I don't. I have nothing against fat people. I just want to know that because I'm out of shape and I'm not a firefighter, but if I'm in a building and I'm trapped and my daughter or me or somebody else is fighting the fire and they are my lifeline to get out of the building, I want to make sure they can pick my daughter up and throw her over the shoulder. Pick me up. And, Secret Service. I don't know if you've noticed this. Secret Service, they're not fat. You know why? it's a requirement that all of my detail, anybody on my security team, it is a requirement that they can pick me up and throw me over their shoulder and get out of a room. That's their job. So, yeah, you have some physical fitness standards for the military or people in that position, and she's like, and I'm surprised because the U.S. military is the greatest fighting force in the world. Since when are you a fan of the military? And tell me how great our military has done, in the last 5 years. Afghanistan comes to mind, comes leaping out, which, by the way, is some of the people that he fired because of that. She said, Behar says there's an ulterior motive for all of this crazy stuff. And Sarah Haynes says, well, you know what? This is why there's a recruiting lull. What? A what? This is why they can't get people to sign up for the military. No, that's under the last administration where everybody, sign up if you want to wear a dress. No, I don't want to wear a dress. I would, if I want to protect my country, I want to be surrounded by fighters. I want to be surrounded by people who are committed to the job and can get the job done. And there's nothing wrong. When he said, I have the highest male standards, he wasn't saying there's no women in the military. He's saying you have to perform as well as a man. You have to be able to throw that man over your shoulder and go. If you can do that, fine. That's what he was talking about, but they don't really, and then they're saying the cost of bringing these guys in and having them sit in a room. Just, can you imagine that? You're now concerned about the cost? And all they did is just tell them to go, shave and then go back to hazing people. Wait a minute, hazing? I thought you were a fan of all these generals. What are you talking about? It's the stupidity and the hypocrisy is just hysterical, While we're here on that, I just have to point out what Hillary Clinton said about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. She was on Morning Joe, and she was asking, are we still headed for a more perfect union? I think we're on pause right now. I think people are uncertain. People are scared about what's going on in our country. The idea that we, the people, that all men and women are created equal. That seems to be in the crosshairs on those on the right who want to turn the clock back on progress that is made. Wait a minute. Hang on just a second. No, we are equal. We're all to be judged equal. We're all to fall under the law equally. Justice is supposed to be blind. You have reversed all of that. We're just trying to set blind justice back into place. No, what Trump is trying to do is turn the clock back on the progress, writing out huge chunks of our history, slavery, suffrage, anything inconvenient. No, I'm not trying to rewrite that. We're trying to have balance on that. We're trying to say, we're more than just that. And then she goes on about how glorious our history really is. Really? Do you believe that? Because I have not heard that from you. Anyway, then she said, so, what I think makes us so special as a country, the idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was dominated by, let's say it. Oh, when somebody says, I don't know, let's just say it. Trouble is coming. Okay. So this is turning the clock back to a world that never was, meaning, let's just say it, quote, white men of a certain persuasion. What does that mean, Stu?
White men of a certain persuasion. White, straight, Christian males.
No. Don't go any too far. That just means white men who are straight. Okay, white men of a certain persuasion, comma, a certain religion.
Okay.
What religion would that be?
Christian, right?
Christian. A certain point of view. What do you think that point of view might be?
Evil conservative.
It's just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on that path imperfectly. Lots of bumps on the way, but I agree with you. We're on the right trajectory. So wait a minute. First of all, I just have to ask, who is the one twisting history when you say we're going back to a history that never was? A country run by straight white men who were constitutionally conservative and Christian. That's a world that never was. I don't even know how you get there. What kind of Common Core math do you have? Show me how you got there.
And it defeats all the terrible. Like, if that never was, then why are you saying it's so bad all the time? Right? Like,
right. Exactly right. Exactly
was slavery real? Yeah. Can I point out one other thing on this, Glenn, which I think is interesting? Yeah. In that, what Trump is doing, what the conservatives are doing, what you're doing with your museum, has nothing to do with what she's describing there, like getting rid of all of the bad history and only promoting the good things and saying how wonderful our country is, right? Like, of course, we will acknowledge when things are good, but we also acknowledge when things are bad, and it's important to understand all that history. But set aside our motivation and whether we're actually doing this or not. It would be understandable for a nation to brush some of their dark spots in their history under the carpet. Lots of countries do this. They do it all the time. And the motivation for that is pretty clear, right? You want the people of your country to believe your nation is great. You want them to believe the best about their country. You want them to feel positively about their country. So while I don't want to do that, I understand the motivation of doing it. I don't understand the motivation of what they want. Because what they want is to only highlight the bad things we've done in our history. Forget the idea of whether you agree with conservatives or not. Their motivation, think of things like CRT, right? Where you look at history and basically blame the country for being a horrible group of racists that do terrible things all the time, structural racism built into everything, turning your country into a nation that looks to its own people to be terrible, to be an awful place that has achieved nothing, that has only destroyed. I understand the motivation of making your country look better than it actually was. What would the motivation be to make it look worse than it actually was?
Wow.
And I think you've answered this before.
Some might say, how is that supposed to be an uplifting message? Oh no, wait, that was the view on the Pentagon when they were talking about saying the truth about them being fat. There are things that you have to say, but you have to balance them. The only reason why you would do it the way they want to is you want to destroy the belief in the nation. And I want both sides told. I want the balance told. And I want exactly what Hillary Clinton tried to get away with there in saying, we're an imperfect nation. Yeah, we are. I agree 100%. We are in our Constitution to form a more perfect union. That's how you do it. Exactly how Stu described is how you do it. Not what they're doing, but by saying, look, we have warts and all. Let's look at those things, put them in perspective, but we're good people. We're good people. But apparently we're not. Randy Weingarten, please play cut 7 of the head of the teachers union and what she's doing.
There is a reason why in Norway, when the Nazis took over Norway, that's why I'm wearing this paperclip. I wear 2 things now. The American flag, nobody can take patriotism away from me, and a paperclip. What did the teachers in Norway do when there was the Nazi occupation? They started wearing paperclips.
Good for them. What? So when I found out she was wearing a paperclip, for the Nazis, I thought, well, you might have missed that time period in Norway. That Nazis aren't there in Norway. And then I realized, oh no, she's talking about here. And I thought, oh, okay. So maybe she's forgetting Operation Paperclip, which was what the Americans did. Operation Paperclip is when the progressives went and said, hey, these doctors, these scientists, these educators, yeah, they're Nazis. They were involved in really bad atrocities, but let's bring them into the fold. Let's have them come here to America and fold them into our healthcare system. Let's fold them into our education system. Let's fold them into our sciences. That was called Operation Paperclip. And so when I think of that, because when I think of the teachers' unions right now and Randy Weingarten, I'm reminded that the California Teachers Union in 2008 changed one of their long-standing rules. And that is, if you were ever a part of or associated with any organization that tried to overthrow the United States government, or you were a communist, you couldn't teach. And in California in 2008, as soon as Barack Obama, Randy Weingarten led the charge to make sure those who had been part of organizations trying to overthrow the United States government could teach our children. So I'm guessing she means the paperclip, the way the Americans meant Operation Paperclip, I'm sure. Which I just have to disagree with you on that, Randy. I just don't think we should have revolutionary, communist, Marxist, or fascist like Nazis. I just don't think we should have them in our government, and that's what we're fighting for. But you keep wanting to push them in, and I have to disagree with you on that. But thank you for reminding me of Operation Paperclip, Randy Weingarten. All right, back in just a second. Our sponsor is realestateagentsitrust.com. Part of my job is to help make sense of the world for you, make your life easier. I believe in capitalism. I believe it's the greatest charity ever because you can make money and then give that money away to charity the way you think is the best. But also, it is the best system because it incentivizes people with moral sentiments to make people's lives easier. How can I improve your life? How can I make things easier for you? That's what a good entrepreneur does. Well, I was motivated to selfishly make things better for me. I didn't know how to get a real estate agent, find a really good one. I started working with a group the Wall Street Journal named the 500 best real estate agents in the country. And I became friends with them, and I started asking them questions like, how do I find people like you? What makes you different? Well, I learned about it, and then we started realestateagentsitrust.com so you can find the right one. I don't charge you for this service. You just tell us where you're moving to and from, and we'll help you find the right real estate agent. You interview them yourself. realestateagentsitrust.com. realestateagentsitrust.com.
Beck will be right back.
You wouldn't think there are people out there who would be willing, much less able, to steal your home. But there are. In fact, it's become one of the fastest growing cybercrimes in the country. It's called home title theft, and it takes just a few clicks, a forged signature, and access to public records. Once a criminal has your home title, they can transfer ownership to themselves, they can take out loans using your equity, and they can leave you on the hook for tons and tons of debt. In many cases, homeowners don't even know that it's happened until they receive an eviction notice or a foreclosure letter on a home that they've been faithfully paying off for years. Your bank can't stop this. Your mortgage lender can't stop this. Your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover it. But Home Title Lock can protect you. They monitor your home's title 24/7, and the moment anything suspicious pops up, any tampering, any unauthorized activity, you're alerted. And if a theft does occur, well, Home Title Lock is there for you then. They have a restoration team that works to resolve all these issues, and they get your title back to where it belongs. This is happening all across the country. You don't want to be part of it. If you think it can't happen to you, well, I mean, that's certainly what they're hoping for you to think. So go to HometitleLock.com. HometitleLock.com is the place to go. AI is a big part of this. It's, changing the world, but don't let it change the name on your home's title. Go to HometitleLock.com right now. Use the promo code BLAZE. HometitleLock.com. The promo code is BLAZE.
Eric Trump is joining us here in just a second. He has written a new book that comes out in a couple of weeks called Under Siege. He is the Trump Organization Executive Vice President. He's going to talk about his family being under siege. We talk to him, spend the hour with him next.
This is Glenn Beck.